Welcome to the Hazard Class Podcast. This is the podcast where I ask my stupid questions to some of the smartest people in and around the world of emergency services. My guest this week is a friend of the show. Previously featured on episode 19, he's fought fires for over 20 years in Southern Florida. But recently, he took up a new challenge, trading his red helmet in for a white one and changing departments to help build a new one from the ground up. He's not only an absolute awesome fire instructor, maybe one of the best in the country. He's an insanely awesome guy. This week on the show, the owner of Mayday Mindset, my buddy, Chief Rob Ramirez. Rob, thanks for joining me.
Brother, thanks for having me. Thanks for the intro. That was awesome. I appreciate it.
Of course, yeah. It's my pleasure, man. It's fun when I do them when I have a relationship with someone. You know, it's easy to write the thing and just punch it out. And, sometimes I'm like scrounging the internet trying to figure out who the heck I'm about to talk to. But yeah, this is awesome, man. And I thank you for taking the time to chat. I know you have a lot on your plate with the new role.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this, right? After what, 20 odd years down, working where you were working.
Mm-hmm.
Now you say, let's flip the script and do something completely different. Trade a fire truck for a desk and try to build a fire department from the ground up, which sounds like a thing that just doesn't happen anymore. And here you are doing it. Tell me about it.
And that last sentence you said is the reason that I did it. It sounds like a thing that doesn't happen anymore. And honestly, it's not, especially in my part of the world. I'm in the Tri-County area, Palm Beach, Broward, which is Fort Lauderdale, and Dade County. New fire departments don't pop up. The last time it happened is a one-station shop down in the South End. They opened up in 92, I want to say, 93. And ever since then, everybody's pretty well established. To be honest, this is probably the most difficult transition I've made in my career. Even working my way through the ranks. And I did spend a 5-year period from 2013 to 2018 working in fire training as a 40-hour guy. And that was an adjustment, but I was still in the same fire department, in the same rank, assigned to training and seeing all my buddies every day when they come out to the training center to train with me. This is a new town, new county. I'm 40 minutes north of home. And they started their own fire department. Well, we are starting our own fire department. Yeah. In the process of, and I'm in the right phase of my career where I knew I was ready to become a chief officer and take on those responsibilities to make sure the fire service in my bubble went where it should go. Not that I have all the answers, but I want to contribute to the direction of travel and growth. And a bunch of buddies of mine, buddies of ours, people that we know from fire conferences, from the social media world, guys that really have a passion for this job, jumped on board early here in Jupiter a year before I did. And I always joke with them and I tell them that, you guys were the canary test.
Yeah.
I had to watch quietly from the sidelines for a year to see if they got whacked or not. And if this thing went through.
Yeah.
And, when the opportunity came up for our training chief, I looked up the requirements. I fortunately met them all and put my name in the hat. And, the Lord's wishes, here I am 7 months later, building a fire department from scratch, no longer in a fire truck. And like you said, I traded in my helmet for a white helmet, which I haven't put in even smoke yet. It's pristine.
Pristine, yeah. So talk to me about that, the choice to give up going back to fires, right? It's got to be after a person that is as dedicated to the craft as you are, built an entire, career and legacy where you were working before, being a hard charging fireman. Now, you've maybe been into your last fire. What does that feel like?
Yeah. So the Lord's blessing on my last shift, man, I didn't want to go out with like a medical call. I didn't want to go, no offense, like EMS is the backbone down here. And we're very fortunate to have, built-in EMS in our organization. But man, I was really hoping privately, I didn't say it out loud because I don't want to ruin it. But that last 24-hour tour, I was riding on my ladder truck and the guys were doing, the last tour thing and people were coming through the firehouse. We had a thing in the morning, a thing in the evening. And right when I went to bed that evening, I hadn't ran anything of substance at all. And I thought to myself, my last run as a fire captain is going to be some BS, lift assist or pick somebody off a toilet at 4 a.m. or some type of a nonsense call. And we were very fortunate. We had a call at around 1:30, 2 a.m. for a heavily entrapped vehicle on fire. I was very aware as we're going over there that if we actually got to the call and didn't get canceled because there was multiple houses going, I was very thankful that that would be my last call. Got back to the firehouse after we handled that incident. We got to go arrival and play there for a little bit. Guys got on tools. We had a couple hose lines deployed. Vehicle was on fire. Unfortunately, the person did not make it. And then right around 5 a.m., we got assigned to a second alarm to the city just south of us. And the sun came up and I was pulling ceiling. And I had a moment where I thought to myself, you know, God's great because this is how I write off. You know? And
that probably made it a lot more palatable to go off into the sunset that way, right?
Amen, brother. Yep.
So talk to me about this role now, right? So I know a little bit about it, but break it down for me again, right? You're literally building a fire department from the ground up. You're not running calls right now. You won't for the foreseeable future. What is the process of building a fire department?
It's a process that none of us had a playbook for, right? The blueprint was not there. We can look at other agencies that have done it, but they're different sizes, or it was 100 years ago. And the finance, the politics, all the stuff involved in it, stuff that you and I, regular fire dudes, don't deal with, right? We only see the like end user end of it. We don't see the whole process of approvals, finance, budgets, RFPs, requests for proposals. I'm going to put your people to sleep if I talk about this. I went to school for my degrees on public administration. So that helped a little bit, very, very little. But I'm blessed to be surrounded by a team of guys that have been doing this for way longer than I have, and at an administrative chief officer command level for decades. So, you know, they brought me on for a reason. They brought me on for the training piece. They saw value in what I have to offer and what I can help them build. And they're building me and making me a better chief officer. What the process looks like, right now, only 7 of us work here. Basically the command staff, a couple of civilian, and a couple of logistic folks. I'm a division chief of safety, training, and wellness. That's my official title. I've done no safety, no wellness, or training in 7 months. I've just been another chief officer helping build the fire department, handling like everything that needs to be done, a utility player like everyone else. So we're buying equipment, you know, we're buying fire trucks, we're buying our ambulances, we call them rescues. We're buying squads, we're buying engines, we're buying spare units, we're buying battalion chief suburban vehicles, and we're buying brush trucks, and we're buying, you know, 7 staff vehicles. And then we're buying vehicles for the people that are coming on, our EMS captain, 40-hour guy, our training captain, 40-hour guy, all our inspectors. So we're in a constant state of purchasing, building, writing out policies, procedures, getting licenses to run EMS calls in Florida from the Department of Health, getting licenses to be a fire department, FDID number. You actually need an ID number to run calls as a professional organization. Wow. Working with human resources to explain to them what a fire department schedule looks like and how they accrue hours and why they're off and why there's a Kelly day. And yes, they get paid to be off. And so it's been a tremendous learning curve for the town and for myself. I often joke with the guys that I work with, since they're so good at what they do, that I'm doggy paddling in the Olympic pool at a feverish pace, heart rate of 180, and they're like backstroking by me like Michael Phelps, like, come on, big guy, try to keep up. You know? But I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll do it every day.
Yeah. You will do it vehemently.
Every day, 100%.
So you're adding all this equipment. What about the humans? What's the story with the humans?
Oh, humans. Yes, that's the next phase, right? We need people for the equipment. Got it, dude. Nothing gets by you, Jake. All right. You're a master scholar. So actually, you're an excellent listener. That's why you do this so well. Our people are coming on board slowly, right? Again, everything is designed to start October 1st of 2026. At midnight, that's when our first 911 call drops. They switched the system over from the county, which currently runs the fire department here, to the town of Jupiter at midnight, October 1. So what I'm doing is we're hiring people right now as we speak. We're actually hiring our lieutenants and our captains. That's posted, that's out. It's been open since last Friday. It closes on the 28th. After that, we start hiring our driver engineers, our chauffeurs. After our chauffeurs and our driver engineers, we start hiring our firefighter EMTs and our firefighter paramedics. That's sometime in May. Right around May 11th, we're bringing in all the officers. We're putting them in a 4-week officer development program. We're bringing in, guest speakers, all our buddies from all over the country, the Andy Starnes, the Dave Downings, the Scott Thompsons of the world, where they're scheduled booked and they'll be here. And they're going to be going through an intensive 4-week officer development program. And we're just basically going to be, you guys bring so much to the table. We're hiring high character, high moral, very experienced people from all over the place. Now, this is how we want to do it here. Let's use your gifts and apply them to our values and culture here, right? And then on June 1st, we bring in the other 80 plus people. And those 80 plus people, plus those guys, will be all together the first week of June, June 1 through June 5. They're going to be all together in the same place for a full week, also taking classes and speakers and town history and culture and getting to know each other. And think about it. When can you ever again get an entire organization, all the shifts, all the employees in the same room without having to run a call or go out of service for a full week? Yeah. It'll be the first and last time. So it's going to be a monumental event, a Cirque du Soleil type. Families coming, mass swearing-ins, media, you name it. And then after that, the following week, like right around June 8th, I want to say, from June 8th to October 1, they'll be on a 24-hour, 48-day off schedule, right? We're doing nothing but training because we're not allowed to run medical calls or fire calls. We have a full training calendar and program built, that crawl, walk, run approach for the first 10 shifts, then 11 shift 11 through 22, and then shift 22 to 33. And all those phases are going to get us ready to go cohesively into October 1, where our plan is to provide, benchmark world-class service.
So if you're going from square one, how do you even begin to decide how Jupiter Fire responds to calls? Like, you're obviously developing an SOP, SOG playbook from the ground floor. Yep. Are you scouring the country for best practices? Are you, working to develop those internally, based on conglomerating some of those? How is it? How do you even do it when you have to come up with everything?
Brother, it's exactly what you said. We are scouring the country, looking for best standards, using the data available, not for information or just for information, not affirmation, right? We get all this information that we have available to us now in the fire service more than ever, our generation. And we're going to bring the best practices that we believe match our goals and our future. The vision that we have, that shared vision to create a fire service that sets the flag on a bedrock of readiness. That's my goal, right? I want to be always ready. I want to have our members operating in a system that they're happy with. Listen, guys like you and I that watch podcasts, that do podcasts, that go to conferences, that hang out in those circles, the passion's there, right? I'm blessed. I work with a staff that my boss, the deputy, has his own podcast. The other deputy has his own podcast. You guys are doing the same thing that we're doing here, you and I in my office, in their office, with their guests, right? These guys are ate up. These are my bosses, right? Yeah. They got their finger on the pulse. They know what makes firemen happy. They know the changes that need to happen locally, right? And we have a fire chief who's okay with going outside the box. He actually encourages it. Yeah, he's been around for 45 years. Daryl Donato, one of the wisest firemen and chief officers I've ever been around. That man is a wizard. He is just wise beyond belief. When he talks, I listen. Every conversation's a classroom. He's on board with it. Make it the best you can, guys. Make it a place that the men and women that come here love working at. And I think I have a pretty good feel what that needs to look like. And we don't have to follow any of the local norms. We're not afraid to challenge the norms, recreate the systems. We're looking to let firemen be firemen and medics be medics, period.
So in that work, in that research to figure out what the best model is, what the best standards are, what does that fire department offer their citizens? Like, what does a person that goes to bed in Jupiter know that their fire department will do for them?
We're basically going to be developing an educated, trained, and confident fire department based on our policies, procedures, staffing levels, state-of-the-art equipment, and training. Our training here is not going to be an option. It's going to be who we are. If you come to work here, you will be training. When I was a company officer, my favorite saying to my guys was, you give me 2, I'll give you 22 of the 24-hour shift. That's all I needed. Doesn't sound like a lot, right? But I can get a lot of shit done 2 hours a day, every day. It's not about training all day on everything. It's about investing a little bit at a time. If the majority of the time you're working towards getting better, you win. It's like an election. It's not unanimous. The majority wins, right? And that's something that we're going to bring here. So the citizens here can be rest assured that the training their members are going to have, the expectations and the bar here, the benchmark is going to be very high, very, very high. We know what a very low benchmark looks like. We know what the minimum standard looks like. And that is never our goal. We don't have to be there yet. So why put ourselves there, right? We're not just trying to build a fire department. We're trying to build a fire department that looks like it's been around for 100 years and operating at a very high level. We're not trying to be, a podunk little friggin' soapbox derby car. We're trying to build a winning NASCAR day one, hour one.
Yeah.
And we have the support from the top down, from the constituents to the politicians, to the town manager, to the fire chief, and obviously guys like us in the division. We're going to support our ground level chiefs and our ground level company officers to challenge their people and to make their people better and to make sure that we're all hitting the mark. I can't emphasize enough. We are going to set a new benchmark in the state of Florida for fire service readiness. That is my goal.
So it sounds all well and good, right? We're going to be the greatest. We're going to be the best trained. We're going to be the most equipped. We're going to be, how do you actually make it come to fruition? How do you make it that the culture of your fire department cares about the little things and the small pieces that come together to make the big picture happen?
The people, right? That's my knee-jerk reaction. All that I can control right now, Jake, all that we as a staff can control right now is the people that we bring in and put in those seats, right? Because the people become the gatekeepers of the culture themselves. Us on 40 Hour don't run the firehouse, because I was at a firehouse 7 months ago. And the fire guys in my position now, our administrators, were so far removed from our daily conversations, daily human interactions, daily collisions, right? Somebody's going to police that. And the people that police that are going to be our senior members, our drivers, our lieutenants, our company, our captains, our battalion chiefs. Like those people, if you treat them right, if you trust them, if you lay out the map and then give them gutter guards, you can throw the bowling ball anywhere you want in here, right? Just out of the other lane, right? And then let them go execute. You're going to be so surprised because they're going to become your biggest ambassadors. And the return on that small investment, those small wins, that low-hanging fruit brings tremendous value back to the organization. And it brings back what we want to see happen. Our shared vision becomes their shared vision. Now they're doing what we need them to do, not because we're telling them, because they want to do it, right? If they're not proud of where they work and if they don't police themselves, no, all the paperwork I'm doing and all this nonsense means nothing. The last year of my life was wasted. Because like you said, it's just pretty words and pretty ideas, right? But you need people to execute. And if you don't hire the right people, you're not going to execute. Now, I know that I have an unfair advantage. Where I came from, I cannot control that. You get what you get. You need bodies and seats, right? Right now, I can control that. Because we're hiring specific people with a specific skill set. And a lot of that's not paper. Most of it is personality, high moral character, and experience. People we can trust day one, hour one, to be the carekeepers of that culture we're looking to build, our values and our shared vision. That's the answer, brother.
So, hiring is a notoriously difficult process in the fire service, not just based off of the logistics of like, how do we do the hiring exam and the written exam and the physical exam? Are we using the CPAT or an internal test or whatever it is? Right. But continually across the country, we see departments failing to vet employees properly. They get through the hiring process and then they become cancerous to the organization for 20 to 30 years.
Yeah.
How do you make sure that doesn't happen? And if it does, and in all honesty, when it does, how do you deal with that person that made it through the hiring process?
And that's, again, when you listen, are they going to sneak through? I'd be dumb to say they're not, right? I'd be sitting here lying to myself and you, saying that they're not going to be able to sneak through. Some guys and girls know how to play a dude that plays a dude that plays another dude real well. Right? So they're going to go ahead and sneak through, and I get it. And again, it goes back to those people that we trust and hired in those positions, those extensions of us, right? Those company officers, senior members, and chief officers of those battalion chiefs, to make sure that they police that daily, and that once they see it, they have all the authority, right, and expectations from above, to pick that weed, because it will contaminate the rest of your garden, right? You need to make sure that that doesn't grow and fester. And they are all, again, because of the position that we're in, this unfair position, they're all career people that are coming here. Our battalion chiefs have been battalion chiefs in Orlando and in Fort Lauderdale for 20 plus years. Our chief officers come from very busy towns as well, and very busy cities. They've been around the business for 20 years. They know what that problem looks like. And we all have a shared understanding that we have an opportunity to do this right or wrong. And the only way we're going to get this right and build what we've been preaching is to police it daily, and to make sure that our officers and senior members that we bring on, who we identify those skill sets in, want to police it based on their experience. They're all, if you use the example of a gardener, these guys are all professional gardeners, so they know what a weed looks like. And we fully expect them to pick it immediately. Now come tell me about the weed in the garden.
Yeah. Previously, you talked about, administrations being out of touch with the line person. How do we combat that as a fire service? Because it does seem like a plague, right? You're an awesome firefighter, you're a great engineer, you're an awesome captain, and at some point you promote out of being in touch with actually going on runs. Like a lot of organizations. I wouldn't say across the board. Obviously, I've talked to tons and tons of awesome chief officers that are at the very top of their organizations that are totally in touch. But all too often, whether it's the politics, whether it's the chasing the money or appeasing the mayor or whatever the thing is, people get out of touch with what's actually happening and what the people on the lowest levels of their organization care about. What can an officer at the top of their organization do to stay in touch with the person that's the newest person into the organization?
The easy answer, right, is to shit on administration and be like, they got to get out more, they got to do this more, they have to get to training, they have to go to conferences. That's the easy answer, right? I'm going to put my admin hat on now because I've only been doing it 7 months, but I got to be honest with you. You get so enveloped in the daily problem solving, right? All the little spot fires that pop up daily, right? That by the time you take a look at your watch, you realize it's lunchtime and you haven't had lunch yet, or it's 4 p.m. and you haven't had lunch yet, and it's almost time to go home. And you haven't finished your morning coffee yet because you're working at a feverish pace. Am I telling you that everybody that goes to admin attacks it with this passion? Probably not. There's guys that go there hide. There's organizations that facilitate that. I've seen it on my own previously, right? They go there to finish their career and maintain the status quo and do the least as possible. If you're going to be that guy or girl who's just going to go finish their career there, my advice to you is to let the subject matter experts guide you. Surround yourself with people that know what's going on and don't challenge them on it, and support them, right? Let them do your job for you. You can still sign the paper, but let them lead the way because they understand what the latest and greatest is. 1985 tactics and strategies, and yesterday's fires are not our target. Don't prepare to fight yesterday's fires. I want you to prepare to fight next week's fire. And a lot of these guys that come upstairs, they lose that ability. Now, I'll compare this to like a professional athlete because this is what I've been experiencing lately. Sometimes you'll watch interviews, and my team is the Miami Dolphins, and they'll interview the Miami Dolphins coach, Mike McDaniels, and they'll ask him, hey, did you see this on social media? The news is saying that your locker room is this, that, or the other. And he says, I haven't heard a thing. I don't watch social media. I haven't heard anything. I am fully committed to this team and training and preparing and building and whatnot and dealing with the daily happenings of the Miami Dolphins. And you think to yourself, what a BS political answer. There's no way he has not heard the rumblings that he's going to get fired, that the team's... Dude, I am so involved in what I'm doing that I can't even watch CNN. I couldn't even tell you what's going on the news, much less what's happening at a firehouse, unless it's in front of my face.
Yeah.
So am I making an excuse for these chief officers? I'm not, but I can totally see that it is plausible with an L, right? That a lot of them just get consumed by this space in here. And the longer that you're in here, the more the outside starts feeling foreign. And then you might have some guys that don't want to show up to the firehouse because they either A, don't want to change the tempo of the firehouse and make them think to the chief in the firehouse, or B, have the fire captains or company officers think that they're being micromanaged, or they're just not in tune with what's happening, and it's not their comfort zone yet. Like their conversation is not what the guys want to hear. They don't want to hear about budgets, proposals, and commission meetings. You know, they want to talk about the last fire they went to, who screwed over who messed up on the thing, why they're in a reserve truck, why the garden hose is not working. That's what the guys and girls want to talk about, union contract stuff, you know, when in reality, you know, you become the target when you're sitting in these seats. And I'm perfectly okay with that, right? My mission on this seat, just like the rest of the staff, is to push the fire service forward and facilitate it for the next generation. I'm not done fighting fire, Jake. Like, I didn't come here because I'm done fighting fire. No part of me is done. Right before I took this position, I reached out to a buddy of mine, the training chief for the city of Miami. We grew up together, and I told him, and he made the move shortly before I did. And I was like, hey, Jerry, why'd you go to 40 hour, dude? Was it a hard decision? Did you miss the truck? And he told me, Rob, let me ask you a question. And I said, go ahead. He said, are you ever going to be at the point, you know, as long as you're healthy and capable, to think, man, I've gone to way too many awesome fires. I've had way too many awesome kitchen table talks. I got hit with too many buckets of water. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that ever again. And the honest answer is no. As long as my body is working, I want to be part of all that. But there comes a point in your career that some of us have to make a decision and make it about the next generation. And I felt like I was in the right point in my career to do that. I had a buddy of mine the other day ask me, we were talking, he asked me how it was going, one of my old captains, one of my good friends. And I'm like, man, it's driving me nuts because I'm doing X, Y, or Z when I want to be doing A, B, and C. And he's like, Rob, you'll get there. And I'm like, yeah, dude, you know what I'm doing? And I told him that there's days that I go home and I keep my fire gloves in my living room with my pristine mask. And I mask up in the living room and I time myself. And I mask up and I time myself at 9 o'clock at night in underwear, you know? And he's like, that's not your mission anymore, dude. And I'm like, what do you mean that's not my mission? And he's like, that's not your mission anymore. And it is, Jake. It is. I have to make sure, especially as a training chief, that if I'm preaching it, I'm doing it. There's a part of me that I will never let go, which is that part, the competency being a fireman part. Again, as long as my body works, I will make the time to stay connected and stay capable, right? And the reason I'm doing those things at home, I didn't do them as a captain, not once, because we do them at the firehouse. Workouts, we mask up, we do drills, we talk fire. Now I'm talking budgets, numbers, and the last thing I ran was a freaking nothing. and the last thing I responded to was an email, you know? So I have to make sure that I keep my brain happy and engaged. And that's a choice intentionally that I'm making, and that I understand if other guys don't make that, because it's easier to go home at the end of the day and maybe they're in their 50s and 60s and they're just tired. They've been around for a long time. But I see myself in a position where I need to learn this very well, but I need to maintain that very well at the same time.
Yeah. So how does this all overlay with, you know, the thriving Mayday mindset, business, you're teaching across the country, speaking, traveling, all this thing. How on earth are you going to maintain that pace?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because this year I felt it a little bit, but I still got around. And, I'm going to mention his name again, my fire chief, Daryl Donato. He's so supportive. In my interview 3 times for this job, my 3rd interview, he made mention of that, do you have any apprehensions coming here? I understand your job, your business, your teaching, your social media stuff. And I told him, yeah, absolutely. I want to keep doing that. What does that look like? And he said, I want you to keep doing that. I want you out there. I want you to be an ambassador for us. I want people to know where you work. And I want them to know that we support this. We want more people like you to work here. And if you're out there, you become our best resource, our best resource and recruiter. So thank God that he supports it. But yes, the Mayday mindset is definitely taking a hit in 2026. As we bring in all those people and go through all those phases of training that I just talked to you about. I can't be gone for that, right? I can't be gone for that, because we're going to be, heavily involved in all of that process. We, meaning myself and the training division, my captains and whatnot. And I can't be gone. So I've already sent emails out to stuff that I would normally do that I can't do next year. I'm still doing all the big ones. I'll be at FDIC. I'll be at Firemanship in July. Next month in Orlando. The in-state stuff is easier. So I'll be in Orlando next month, and I do have a weekend trip in Ohio come February, and then May we're going to Germany again with Andy Starnes and the guys. We just got back from Germany 2 months ago. Great guys over there. If anybody can ever make it out there, I highly recommend it. The IFRT guys are tremendous, but we're going back there in May. and then the year slows down after July. And I'll be doing hot classes. I'm blessed with a tremendous cadre, which I trust completely. And they'll be going out and staying busier than I will, doing only hands-on stuff up until I can get back on my feet in 27 and get out there and start, stomping the fire conference circuit again and doing the presentations.
Yeah. So as we talk about building up this fire department, obviously you're bringing a lot of experience in, but with experience becomes set ways. This is how we pull hose. This is how we pull ceilings. This is how we force doors, whatever it might be. How do you plan to take the 1,000 views of the same problem from around the fire service and meld them into one Jupiter way?
Correct. So right now, awesome question. Right now, we're putting pen to paper. This is what we want. And then this is what we're buying to achieve what we want. Right. So that's been my greatest challenge, making sure that I buy all the right ladders, all the right hooks, all the right hose, all the right nozzles, all the right trucks, going up to Wisconsin to Pierce and making sure that the trucks are being built right and sitting there for hours of spec conversations and figuring out how to get a freaking 28 and a 24 and a 16 and 214s and into the back and still be able to fit our hooks and sitting there with the truck engineers drawing some freaking nerd drawing lines on a board and whatnot. These guys are geniuses, dude, geniuses. We understand that that's a possibility, right? We've spoken to our battalion chiefs and we told them, listen, a lot of this stuff is what we want to do. I know you guys come from different organizations. You've seen things that work and that don't work. I want you to dissect it, align the Swiss cheese models. Tell me where we can go wrong. Tell me 30 reasons why this doesn't work. And then we encourage them that when they bring on their captains, right? Because they're going to be heavily involved in the captain hiring, the battalion chiefs are, to make sure that those people also contribute to this. Because our operational window won't start till October 1, right? So in my mind right now, because of the way I'm looking at the calendar next year, 2026 is very, very small, right? In reality, we'd still have 12 months to figure this out. And we put a lot of that ownership on the battalion chiefs. We've encouraged them to hire the right captains, put some ownership on them and take those 1,000 views and take the best practices of each based on their experience and create it and create the Jupiter way. My biggest challenge is not knowing what that 1,000-piece model looks like and purchasing for that, right? Because once that money's spent, it's spent. And I showed you my office before.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of equipment on the ground right now sitting in front of me that I purchased based on best practices for rope rescue. Now we can hire 10 rope rescue guys to put them on the squad. They're like, Rob, that's crap, dude. That beaner doesn't work, or that descender is garbage, or I don't like Petstone, I like CMC. We'll work around it. We'll work around it and we'll design what they want and with what we have, right? The good thing about experienced people, man, and this goes to teaching, this goes to just everyday life. When you talk to somebody with a lot of experience and you want to introduce something new, you have to value their experience. Value their experience because it's easier to describe a platypus to somebody who knows what a duck and a beaver look like.
What an expression. Yeah, it's great. No, it makes sense.
You've never seen a beaver. You've never seen a freaking duck. And I try to describe a platypus. I'm going to have a real tough time. But I can tell you, hey, you know what a beaver looks like? Yeah, dude. You seen a duck? Hell yeah. Put them together.
This is a crazy side tangent for us to take, but I saw platypus for the first time last year in San Diego. We went, they have them in the zoo in San Diego. We brought my son down there.
That doesn't count. In the wild? I was like, in the wild?
No, they're only in Australia. I've never been to Australia. But they're way smaller than I thought. They're teeny. They're like this big. Yeah, they're like the size of a squirrel.
Oh man, I picture like a full-size beaver.
Yeah, me too.
Otter type
of
thing.
No, they're teeny. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
I saw. Okay, so we'll go right back to it.
I know it's fine. I love a side tangent.
So I was teaching up in Corley's thing up in Oklahoma and more, like 3 years ago. Dude, I've never seen a skunk outside the zoo.
Okay, right? I wish that was the case for me. They suck.
Never seen a skunk, dude, outside the zoo. And like Pepe Le Pew, like cartoons when I was a little kid, right? And we're at Chick-fil-A getting lunch. Myself, Blake from Next Rung, right? And Jacob Johnson.
Okay.
And with the three of us drive during the break from this conference we're doing and go grab Chick-fil-A. And Blake takes us to get some Jesus chicken. And when we pull on, right? When we pull up, dude, as soon as I get out of the truck, there's this freaking skunk crossing the drive-through. the parking lot at noon. And at first I'm like, that's a weird looking cat. Right? In my brain, the hard drive, there's an empty file. So I look at it, I'm the guy who's never seen a beaver and a duck. So I look at it, I'm like, in my brain's like, dude, that's a freaking crazy looking cat. Look at the hair on it. And then I was like, holy shit, that's a skunk. So I freak out and I start telling these dudes, look, a skunk, a skunk. Well, one of them is from Texas, the other one's from Georgia. And they're like, come on, dude, Rob, we're seriously a skunk. Just stay away from it. And if it pisses on you, you can put ketchup on the piss or tomato sauce or whatnot. And you like, they had a plan. They were ready to go. I had no plan. Like I wanted to get pictures. I chased that thing down the parking lot. That's a true story. And they were like,
that's really funny. Yeah. And so I feel the same way when I'm from Minnesota. So like I go down to Florida and I'm like terrified of snakes. And every body of water, I feel like I'm going to get eaten by an alligator. Right. And so that's a whole different thing. Right. And the lizards and stuff down there, like we don't have any of that stuff up here. We do have skunks.
We got little dinosaurs down here.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Everything in Florida wants to kill you.
Do they expect you guys to deal with those animals? Like if you're responding in, say, where you spent all your years, like if someone has an alligator in their pool, you have to go to respond to that as a firefighter?
Well, 911, they call you for everything. So yes, we'll respond. We'll look at it, and then we'll get the right people out there. I'll never forget, dude. I was a younger fireman, and some lady somehow got the number to the firehouse, so the firehouse phone rings, and one of the senior drivers picks up the phone. He's like, "Oh, Firehouse 98," and she's like, "Oh," and he goes, "You got an alligator in your pool, sweetheart? Okay, is it on fire?" He goes, "You called the fire department." Click.
That's a crazy thing. Yeah, we don't have anything comparable to that. I've seen some footage though from like some organizations out in like California that are like straight up like dealing with rattlesnakes and stuff, and it's crazy.
We have that here. We have Venom 1. They handle the entire southeast region of the country. Venom 1 is Miami-Dade's anti-venom unit, and they go out and they capture snakes, and they have the serums for all the poisonous snakes. And if you get bit by a snake in Florida, Georgia, Alabama, they fly out to you and get you the serum. And if you call in for a snake in your house, they send the anti-venom unit. They call them Venom 1 is their specialized unit. These are firemen.
They're from Miami-Dade?
Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. And my boss, Steve Shaw from Fire Engineering, his brother, Rusty Shaw, is the officer in charge of the unit.
Oh my gosh. You should get me in contact with him. I want to have this guy on the pod.
I'll get you with Rusty. You put him on.
Oh man, that would be awesome. I'll tip my hat. I don't have a lot of like obvious fears. I don't do snakes. I got an Indiana Jones thing going on. I do not do snakes at all. So a couple of years ago, I went skydiving for the first time, and I went and I thought it was going to be, all scary. I actually went with a captain from where I work, and he's a skydiving instructor and stuff. So I went with him, and I was like, that wasn't scary at all. No. I'm not afraid of anything. So I tell my kids, I'm like, tomorrow we're going to the reptile zoo. I found out that one had not passed me yet. My son thought it was the funniest thing that I was still terrified of these snakes, and that's fine, right? It's okay for them to see a little chink in the armor every once in a while. But
I got you. Right. It'll happen after we get off.
Yeah, no, we're fully off grid now, but that's fine. So let's go back to the fire service, huh? But one of the things that people ask me, especially when I'm dealing with newer firefighters, like people that I'm mentoring or something like that, what skill sets should I spend my time caring about early in my career? And I think that that's an interesting question. It's like, hey, I just made it through the academy. I got my Fire 1, my Fire 2, my hazmat ops, whatever it is. I want to be better. I want to be firefighter 3, firefighter 4, whatever the hell you'd call it, right? Mm-hmm. What skill sets are most worth spending time developing early in your career?
Your basic firemanship, right? And what do I mean by that? When you go to fire academy, all those schools you mentioned, you're getting education, right? Mm-hmm. You have to turn that education into smarts. And the way you do that is through constant application and the opportunity to apply it to a call, right? So the experience matters. And then you have to make sure that you continue that basic firemanship education. You have to be able to become not only competent, but your goal should be mastery, right? If they teach you how to force an inward swinging door in the fire academy, if they teach you how to throw a ground ladder in the fire academy, you should want to master that. It's the reason people go to fire conferences, right? When you go to a fire conference, you don't go there for a certification and for education, right? Mm-hmm. You go there to be trained and learn from the people who've already applied that education multiple times, successfully or unsuccessfully, to real world scenarios. And they can come back and give you better systems and a better roadmap so that when you do use your education on a call and you get to that intersection, their information that you receive at fire conferences lets you know to go left or right, even though you've never driven down that road. So you have to maintain that basic firemanship. Guys and girls are too freaking eager to promote or to go to the truck or go to the engine or go to special operations. I get it. We all have passions, but our base level has to be a bedrock of solid firemanship.
So how does someone know when they're ready to go to the next layer? Because I agree with you totally, especially in my organization, right? Like the special operations, the squad or rescue program is like, oh, I want to get there and I want to like get out of the academy and do 3 years. And as soon as I can possibly try to get onto one of those programs, I want to do it. Right. And you go, man, you were a grocery clerk 3 years ago. How would you expect to work in special operations, right? That's not possible. But it happens over and over again because of whatever. But, how does someone know when they've, quote unquote, reached their 10,000 hours, their mastery, whatever it might be, to go to, okay, now I want to learn about hazmat. Now I want to learn about ropes or confined space or trench or venom, right? How do they know?
Venom, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know how you would know intrinsically. You would need a system that reads the label of your jar for you, right? Mm-hmm. So I can feel like I'm ready as a 3-year used to be a clerk guy to go to special operations, right? Mm-hmm. But the system needs to vet these people and has processes in place and standards, right? To not allow that to happen. If you don't think that experience and time on the job matters, you're an absolute idiot. Mm-hmm. Because we need to turn that book smart into street smarts. And the only thing that happens, and the only way that happens, is through frequent exposure. And even if it's not frequent and you're not making the jobs that you want to make, then it's going to take you longer. Can you fill that gap with realistic training? Absolutely. Can you fill it with going to conferences and learning from the right people that are fully vetted, that you're going and taking those systems and that direction from? Absolutely. But you putting that on an individual, it's not fair because we're individuals. I just said it, right? Mm-hmm. I may think that I'm ready. I may be that diva wide receiver who thinks he's always open when he's quadruple covered, right?
Yeah.
Or I may be the guy who lacks confidence, but everybody else says he's a rock star. Mm-hmm. You have to create a system that polices that and reads those people's labels from the outside. Because when you're in the jar, you can't read your own label.
Mm-hmm.
That's a philosophical answer, dude. There's no black or white to it.
No, that's great. So do you think then, I assume the best way to do that, other than like, a paper trail, you have to have XYZ qualification to move on to the next thing, right? There's also a subjective layer of like, so that's probably in mentorship in some way, shape, or form in the fire service. Mm-hmm. Do you lean more into the formal mentorship style or the informal mentorship style? Do you think being effective?
I lean more towards indigenous training. What do I mean by that? Like tribes, right? You learn at the academy, and then we teach you how this tribe behaves. When we eat, when we clean, how we run a car accident, how we act at this firehouse, how we talk to each other at this firehouse. Those cultural indigenous norms and that indigenous training takes time and is established at every little firehouse. If to take a group of people, right, who are educated to a minimum standard, right, and indigenously train them to execute against like rapidly emerging complex scenarios where the consequences occur in 300 seconds or less, and if you fail, it is catastrophic, it's not easy, right? You have to make sure that the people that you're bringing on want to A, get better, and B, be mentored. And the system needs to encourage a formal mentorship program. This is who we are, this is how we do it. And then also support the informal mentorship, that informal rogue leader, the guy that people follow, the girl that people follow, even though they don't have rank. And if that process is in place, I strongly believe that those diva wide receivers that think that they're always open when they're not and have a very high confidence level will be brought down to earth and trained the right way and they'll understand that it's okay to take time and keep that cookie in the oven a little bit longer because it's not ready yet. It's too mushy. You're going to burn your tongue. Right?
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Delicious.
Right? It's delicious. Right? And then you have to make sure that you don't leave that cookie in the oven too long and you burn it. Right? So you have to find that balance, man. And it all comes down to people. I've just realized something during the course of this conversation, that our people are our greatest ambassadors. And without the people, everything that you or I talk about or do, if they do not encourage that and live that daily, even on the days that they don't feel like it, none of this works. None of this works. Every system will fail.
Yeah.
System.
And so, as you do this and build up this organization with formal mentorship and informal mentorship and all the systems and play, once you hit the ground, say you run your first call, what's the process of evaluation of how things are going to look like?
So nerdy approach to this is you have to define what our goals are, right? Measure, analyze, and improve, and then control. So we measure, analyze, improve, and control constantly. Right? It's the DMAIC concept. You analyze it constantly. You have systems in place, after actions, formal after actions, informal after actions, constant check-ins with the chief officers, trust, and the ability to mess up and learn from it and move on. Non-punitive. Listen, we're messing up. They're going to mess up. Every single one of us has to be allowed to mess up and know that it's safe. Because if you make it unsafe to mess up, then you're going to create a culture of lack of trust and not growth. We want our people to go out there, do it, hear the gutter guards, execute. You may not have done it the way I wanted you to do it, and we'll talk about it afterwards. Why'd you do that? Awesome. I love that. Didn't think of that. Or try this next time. High five. Or you can come back to me like, Rob, I completely fucked that up, dude. Cool. Let's learn from that. Move on. No problem. The goal is, what was their intention? Right? If their intention was to do the right thing and support the mission, 100% go execute.
I think that's an interesting thing that I've been trying to dig into more and more with my guests recently, which is when we're doing these post-incident debrief, these tailboard talks or a more formalized critique, how do we do them effectively so that it's not one or the other? The worst side would be, it's all discipline. You didn't do this, you didn't do that, and that's destructive. Nobody's going to own what the mistakes they made or anything like that. And the flip side of the coin is everyone high fives each other, and we're the greatest thing that ever happened. Nobody made any mistakes. There's nothing to learn. We're the greatest thing that ever happened. Finding the happy balance in the middle between, hey, we did do some stuff good, but we probably did just as many things bad or that we could improve on or critique or change. So how do you navigate that so that those conversations are effective?
It starts with daily actions and practices, right? Yeah, like I said before, you need to have an environment that makes it okay to mess up. I want the guys to be like, hey, call themselves out. I stretched the line to the back. I should have stretched it to the front. I want the guy to tell me that. I don't want to have to tell the guy that, right? This is how we train. This is how we do it. This is our recipe. Did you follow the recipe? Cool. Could you add an ingredient? Absolutely. Make it better. Make it your own. Did you not follow it and it caused us to cause a delay or something to go over the way that the rest of us weren't expecting and we lost our common ground? Okay, let's talk about that so we can fix it, right? At no point should any after action or post-incident analysis, whether formal or not, should be punitive or confrontational. Not at all. Zero. If day one, hour one, you establish that to be a norm, we will after action informally, we will PIA or post-incident analysis or after action formal, every single incident, no matter how minute, then it becomes a norm. When you make every single one of those norms safe, now you turn that into an environment where people are listening to each other, calling themselves out and learning from it. And at times they'll call themselves out and you'll be like, dude, didn't even notice that. Home run, thanks for bringing it up. You got this. And move on. And they're going to fix the problem themselves. But if you create a system where you try to inject a formal after action program, like a policy, or you try to make these guys do something they're not used to doing it, and then they start doing it, and you don't tell them exactly how it should be done and what the end goal is of that after action, which is growth and better operations, you're going to create an animosity or a fear of failure that is going to be counterproductive to the shared goal. So it is very important to establish trust, make it non-punitive, and make it the norm. Do it frequently, do it safely, and your men and women will want to get better and engage in that activity more.
And I think you would probably agree with me in the idea that I think I've learned way more by the mistakes I've made than by the times I've hit the home run, for sure. Right. And even when I do things well, I'm very hypercritical of myself. Nobody's going to say something to me that I haven't already said to myself 1,000 times. Right. That said, how, if we're encouraging, not encouraging failure, but encouraging bringing that to light when things go wrong, how many times can somebody do the same thing before we start have to now, if unfortunately we run 5, critiques in a year and the same guy raises his hand and says, I didn't know how to force the door. I didn't know how to force the door. I didn't know how to force the door, whatever the thing might be. Eventually it has to become a discussion, right? How do we deal with that?
Well, first and foremost, I'm going to think like a captain, right? That's most of my last 13-year experience comes from the captain position. As a captain, that needs to be handled at a company level, first and foremost, right? That needs to be identified at a company level because we know everybody's strengths and weaknesses as a company officer. Jake's good at this, Rob's good at that. Jake's not good at this, Rob's not good at that. We all have our geniuses, right? There's a great book called The 6 Geniuses. I recommend you guys look it up. It's a great book. It talks about all of us can do everything, but all of us are really good at 2 things. And so you get a crew, you want to complement each other where 2 things that are your genius, the 2 other things that you're not strong at are my genius, and you build a strong team. The company officer has to recognize that. Now, formally, administratively, performance improvement programs, you have to build those into place, what that looks like, how long they can be in a performance improvement program where they're brought out to training and evaluated quarterly, and they have the job performance requirements that they need to fill out during that phase for whatever skill they're lacking in, even if they're a senior member. But man, I strongly believe in my heart that all gets handled at a company level when a company holds itself accountable. Now, if I do an after action with the same company, because the entire company is the issue, 1 time, 2 times, it ain't happening a 3rd, right? You don't get 3 strikes. This is not baseball, right? If that starts becoming a trend, and I'm okay with you screwing up one thing the one time and then something else the other time. But if you screw in the same thing, the same company, and we're constantly talking about it after every after action, that needs to be addressed immediately. Because right now that firehouse is an issue. And then you have to, that addressing can be a one-on-one with the chief officer in charge of that company or that captain, or a one-on-one with the captain, or the entire company has a talking to. And if that doesn't fix itself, which you hope that it would, then you have to start looking at other measures where now you're looking at separating them and bringing in more people to fill that space. And there you run into all types of contractual and union issues for unionized fire departments. But it isn't, Jake, I don't want to interrupt your train of thought. It isn't like an unlimited, we're going to after action this shit every time. And every time we hear engine 1's coming, we all just roll our eyes. And like, what can we do? Engine 1 sucks. That's
and unfortunately, every organization knows the problem companies, especially the companies that are top performers. They know, and I think that, my understanding from talking to the chief officers inside my organization, they know when a job needs to be done, which company they're going to ask to do the thing that is imperative that it's done correctly, right? And so I think that's another portion, which is being a company officer and a chief officer that knows who the people in their organizations are that are actually going to accomplish the thing they need, that don't need a second and third chance. And, when they fail, then we work on it. But, the thing that I was going to, talk about next is the buy-in to caring and having urgency is such a thing that bothers me, because it seems like such a gradient scale inside the fire service, especially an established organization that doesn't have the benefit that you do. We're going to handpick all these people and they're going to come on at the same time and they all going to have the same mission and the same mindset and all the things. Right. But, I guess I'll give a very real example. Last night we had a house fire, this morning, like 12 hours ago. report of a victim on the 3rd floor.
Nice.
Full front. The whole house in the front was a solid wall of fire. We couldn't access the front. We went around the Charlie side, forced door, went inside. So we went up to the 3rd floor. We were searching the 3rd floor. As soon as we made the 3rd floor, it was you could tell that it was semi-finished, right? There was some open joists and there was also some like plywood down. And immediately, you couldn't stand up. It was dormers, but no windows. Like, there is not a person up here, right? I just, you knew it in your gut. There's no way they'd be here. But that said, we had reports from the family. They're on the 3rd floor. All that is probably excess detail to the idea that we do the 3rd floor. My captain's like, nope, they said it's here. We got to look, right? So we look, we go back down to the 2nd floor and we're pumping around, doing, it was a primary, but it was kind of a secondary because there were already crews that I had believed had done this search. And we come around and I find a guy in a bathtub. Wow. And so me and my partner pull him out and, he comes out to the side. Unfortunately, he passed. But, since then, I've just been racking my brain on this idea of, there were crews there on that floor and they were either too caught up in the idea that the victim was on the 3rd floor and they weren't having urgency. So all this setup is to the question of like, how do you elicit urgency from crews if you can't do it from somebody standing in the front yard saying my family member is inside that house? We went where we went because we were told where to go. But, the thing that's frustrating me the most as I play this back over the last 12 hours or so is, where were the other people? And my fire department historically has a great culture of search and engagement. I don't know. That's where my wheels are spinning. How do I come to this? Because we're going to have a critique here, in the next few days, I'm sure. How do I go to that critique and elicit that engagement of, you have to be searching this house like you're looking for a briefcase full of cash, right? Like that kind of thing, right? And I don't know, that those moments haunt me way more than anything, which is like, what efficiencies could we have found along the way to had a different outcome potentially?
Right.
I don't know. That's a really long-winded thing to ask your opinion of it.
Dude, first and foremost, great job. You made me want to like go back there and put my helmet on and sit here the rest of the freaking podcast with a helmet. I haven't freaking ran a fire in 7 months, and I'm joking. So good for you guys. I will tell you this, before we even get into how we talk to the other crew, I've been on both sides of that. I've been the crew that's cleared a search and then had somebody else find the victim. There was circumstances behind that, and I felt horrible. But they had turned the closet into a bedroom where no human being could fit. And it was on the other side of the fire. So everything was searched except that closet pantry in the kitchen, which there was a twin size bed in. Ooh. Right. So that's on me though, because like you said, aim small, miss small. Look for a briefcase full of money and you'll find it. That means that should have been open. If I clear the house, the company officer on a search, it's on me, right? And then I've also been on the other end of it where even in the USAR world, where a building has been cleared, a collapse site has been cleared, and we pull 6 people out of there in USAR. That's happened to me. I lived that. Family members are telling us, I'm getting text messages from the RoboPile. And we talked to all the other teams that were there before us that already put an X in the building, search, no victims. We go in there based on the family text messages from 2 hours ago, they're showing you. And we dedicate 8 hours of digging and crawling and breaching and breaking, and we pull out 6 live people over a 36-hour period. Wow. So I've been on both sides and I understand the frustrations. And before I answer your question, the last thing I'll tell you is that a friend of mine many years ago taught me something very valuable. He said, if you and your company are doing the right thing, taking the right route, masking up, getting dressed out, approaching the building, sizing the building, searching the building the right way, and you come across an unfortunate, catastrophic incident like the one that you faced, where you found the victim in the bathroom after it had been cleared, and you guys chose to search it based on whatever biases you had or non-bias you had to what you had and what the environment was showing you, the outcome of that call does not belong to us. Nothing. Whether they live or die, whether it's a baby or it's an ancient person, the outcome of that incident does not belong to Jake, it does not belong to Rob. What belongs to you and I is everything we did prior to that call, because 99% of what happens to a call is dependent 100% on what we do before that call in training and preparation. What we did en route to that incident and our actions at that incident. That belongs to us completely, full ownership. You fuck that up, it's on you. You're proud of your actions, is also on you. What happens, the outcome, all that stuff that happens after you get hands in the potty and pull them out, that does not belong to you. That's not yours or mine to carry or to own. And that mindset will take you very, very far. I've made that switch. I focus on before the fire, during the fire, the outcome of the incident. 10 people died, 1 people died. 1 people is not a word. 1 person died. All right. English is my second language.
That's okay.
Yeah. You saw the Grammarly in my head kick in, and then live on camera.
Yeah.
But the incident, the outcome of that incident doesn't belong to us, bro. So do yourself a favor and don't think about the outcome of that incident being yours or your company's to own.
Yeah. Right? And I when I think about these incidents, the way I play them in my head is, like I said earlier, I'm hypercritical of myself. It's always, next time, how would I do it differently? It's not so much like, oh, I wish this would have never happened. Why have I caused this thing? It's like, how do I pick this thing apart to the most granular nature I possibly can, so that next time my spidey sense kicks up and I do something different or learn from it or adapt from it or whatever it might be. But like I said, kind of going back to what I was saying is like, I think one of the driving forces behind competency is caring, right? Is like caring deep down that like I take full ownership and the preparation into this incident is mine to bear. When someone doesn't feel that way, can you make them that way? Or is this like a nature versus nurture question, I suppose?
Yeah, man, you can't control other people's biases and what they care about. It's hard to make people care, right? It really, really is, unless you tie it into something that matters to them. And if you can't do that, it's sad, but the fire service is just another slice of society. We see things on the news all the time that you're like, how can another human being do that to another human being? And then those are people that work with us. And you like to think that we live in this fairy tale world where everybody's going to care as much as we care, and no one's ever going to forget the kid that was trying to get a job 20 years ago, how bad you wanted this job and how bad you want to help the community and serve, right? Some guys just lose it. You can rescue a lot of those guys. I don't know how. There isn't a magic potion or a silver bullet that fixes it all. Anything I say to you will be just, subjective to my opinion. But I will tell you that if you're going to address this in your upcoming after action or post incident or whatever you guys do over there, right? The first thing that I would recommend is that you get their point of view. Yeah. What you guys see, what you guys do, identify their biases, what they, a lot of times it's like, I didn't search that because I've never had to search it. I never had a negative outcome, right? And then that's their reality, and their perception is not that they don't care. That's what we need. That's what you and I need jerk to, right? This guy doesn't give a shit about the job because I know him. He's a scumbag. He's slow. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. He doesn't train, right? That's why they didn't do it. That's easy, right? But find out their why. And if it's a blatant, like egregious, like I don't give a shit about what we do here, like I'm not doing X, Y, or Z, then that needs to be addressed formally. But if it's just because they don't know what they don't know, and they're not seeing what you're seeing, their expectations are not what yours are based on what they're bringing in information via their eyeballs, sights, and smells and sounds, that's a training issue. That's a training issue. Because the reason that we train our people is to create common ground and common expectations. And that creates common language, right? You can't have common ground, common expectations, or common language if you don't train on it often at a company level or at a department level. We can't have 10 dudes jump out of 2 fire trucks and see 10 different things and have 10 different expectations of the same building burning. Right? So that's something that needs to get nipped in the butt. How you do that takes time.
Yeah, and I don't think for a second that these people are blasé or something. And truthfully, I don't know. I have no clue. I was busy doing a search on the third floor. I don't know what the heck was going on, but in my brain, I can't grasp how it could have happened. What could have occurred below me to have had that outcome happen, right? But I don't think it's because they flagrantly don't care. But what I want to, like, I guess my hope would be that they would get the same pit in their stomach that I have, that it would motivate them to elevate themselves in the future, right? That would be the hope, right? And you know, I that's my hope when I talk to anyone, and I try to, you know, inspire people to the best of my ability to care, because I think that, like, that is the first step of competency, is deciding that it matters to, you know, how often have we heard the, like, well, the hose is always going to come off, and right, every fire goes out, and whatever the thing is, the trope of the fire service, right? How do we make it so that, like, the deploying a line in 45 seconds versus 60 seconds does matter, and forcing a door in 20 seconds versus 2 minutes does matter, right? It's not whether or not you can accomplish the task, it's whether you can do it in the most efficient way possible. And that is the thing that is hard. I don't think it's necessarily hard to convince someone that forcing a door matters, or like pulling a line with any level of competency matters. It's like, well, why does it matter to do it any better than what seems to kind of work, right? That is the hard part. And yeah, like, that is why some people, like someone in particular that, like, when I see him speak, like, brings that out, is like Ike, like Kurt. When Kurt talks, it is like, all right, let's go to war, right? Like we're and that would be like, if I could, like, steal someone's skill set, man, the ability to inspire people to care is a powerful skill set.
You have to be able to point out, you know, like, if for that message to be effective, you need to make sure that you start with a soundbite that matters to them. So you need to get to know the person. You need to understand what they consider something important, what their goals are, what their fears are, and start with a soundbite that matters to them. Now you got their attention, right? Now you identify the problem. We need to do this better, X, Y, or Z. Once you identify the problem, you give them 3 simple steps to a solution. Here's my plan, A, B, and C. Don't make it difficult. It's not like landing a spaceship on the moon. Something simple, right? And then after you put your plan out there, you tell them, these are the consequences of not following this plan, X, Y, or Z, and you jump into their field, their fears and their goals again, right? And then you constantly monitor that, because I can't make you care, but I can create a standard, right? Think about the FDNY. You just had the FDNY chief on here. If you show up to one of these old proud firehouses in the FDNY, you show up to Rescue 2 in Brooklyn, you don't think Rescue 2 polices itself? Absolutely. You think they're going to have a guy on there who's not meeting their standard? Absolutely not. We have too much of that in the fire service. We have too much of that in the fire service. I can't make you care, but I can set a piece of paper that says everybody in this organization will mask up in 10 seconds or less. Everybody here will throw a ground ladder in 45 seconds. I can put that on paper and train till everybody does it. They might do it one time, but they're going to do it one time in front of me. And when they don't do it on a call, it's going to come up in the after action, because now it's on paper. Don't make it do it on paper. Police yourselves, right? But if you don't care, I'll make you perform. And if you can't perform, I won't have to worry about you caring anymore, because you won't be on there.
So before I let you go, you know, what's the hope for Jupiter? What is the hope for the future? What do you want to be known as an organization? And, you know, what do you want the fire service in general to know about what you want to accomplish there?
So, you know, being nostalgic and a hopeless fire service romantic, if you asked me that question and I was out of uniform and we're sitting somewhere having a cocktail, I tell you, Jake, you know, I want a fire department that's really good at doing truck work and really good at doing engine work. And I want guys and girls that love going to fire conferences and training. And I want custom kitchen tables. And I want to hear laughter in the day room. And I want to smell diesel when I walk into the apparatus bay and smoke on the gear. And that's where my heart is, because I'm a hopeless romantic, right? When it comes to this stuff. The traditions are everything that I love about this job, right? I want all of that, but I want the citizens to know that on day one, hour one, every resident, every business, and every visitor that comes through this town It's going to be receiving world-class fire service from a bunch of men and women that are bought into the job, that love each other, and that love the community they work in. The days of shutting the apparatus bay doors down and circling the wagons and keeping the community out of your firehouse and are behind us. I want to have a fire department that the people love and that the community loves and that the people who work here love coming to work too. Our boss says that all the time. And he truly means it, and I've truly bought into it. I strongly believe in my heart of hearts that the firehouse is the very fiber of the neighborhood that it's in. And for too long, we've normalized, at least in this part of the world where I work, run your call, come back inside, apparatus door shut, somebody rings the doorbell, you send the junior guy out there and shoo him away, right? Somebody comes to the firehouse, everyone disappears. And I want to bring those days back. And that's what we're doing here at Jupiter. I want to create a fire department that is very, very futuristic in training, up to date to the latest standards, and takes care of their men and women and doesn't treat our people like an inexhaustible resource. That's a very long, short answer.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thank you for the time again. Telling me the stories, shooting the shit, having fun. It's always great to talk to you, man. You're one of my favorite people to talk with. Good luck down there. Hopefully we'll get a chance to link back up maybe next year sometime and talk about all the progress that's been made since we last spoke. But yeah, thanks again, Rob. You're the best, man.
Brother, I appreciate you. I look forward to it. I'd love to be back on next year and give you an update. And hopefully we're doing everything. And if we're not, we'll be honest and talk about it. And we'll talk about the areas of improvement. On a side note, Jake, dude, I love talking to you as well. You personify everything that's great about the fire service. And we legit need more Jakes in the world.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you. That's a big high compliment from you. I appreciate that a lot.
Right
Thank
on,
you,
brother.
sir. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Until we speak again, buddy.